Okay, we're back at the Brightside interviews, and we're here with the basically crew, right? Crew of every time we say goodbye.
Yes.
All right.
Uh, I'm Julian. I'm the writer, director, and editor, and I also have Olivia here. Olivia, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Olivia Dowd. I was the DP on Every Time We Say Goodbye, and I also was the sound editor slash designer for it.
So, what made you come up with the idea for this film?
Wow, loaded question. First of all,
I kind of always start with that just to say, to see what people would say.
oof. Well, most of it was kind of like a mishmash of like weird experiences, but framed inside a, a structural exercise. I wanted to basically make a movie based off of an experiment of a character wanting something in the third act that they rejected in the first act, and that was the basis of the idea. And so the movie is obviously split into three parts, and it starts with the two characters that comprise the beginning and end, and her uh, rejecting his advances, and then not necessarily accepting those advances, but trying to accept his company, and then it just not working out in a way. And it's triggered by the events in the middle of the movie. So it was kind of just a structure game and structure exercise that I wanted to participate in.
And Olivia, how did you come along on the project?
Yeah, well, me and Julian, we met on a different project that we were both working on, and just found that we have like a lot of the same sensibilities, especially when it comes to like film and stuff. And yeah, I'm always looking for work, so I was like, yeah, totally down to DP. And I love sound editing too, so if anybody wants to give me sound work, I'm totally down.
We always need sound people, right? It's
Yeah.
always looking for sound people. Uh, so, where did you film this exactly?
Asbury
Locally?
Park, the entire thing, Asbury
Oh wow.
Park.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. It's right down the road. So absolutely. That's awesome. So how was it shooting it there?
Oof. We actually had to reshoot the very
Yeah.
first scene because when we were scouting, we decided on a location, and it was so crowded and people were going crazy. They were interrupting the shot. They were honking their horns, and so we had to
Mm,
Mhm.
completely scrap it and redo it
nope.
in a place that was much more secluded. People were still interrupting every once in a while, but it wasn't nearly as bad.
Yeah, they're like, oh, there's a movie being made in Asbury.
So
Yeah, yeah, and they always are just like, "Oh, yeah, take 3." I'm like, "Please, please stop. We're just trying
The
to make
flowers were the
something."
best part though, because people kept, like, coming in and the first day especially, people kept coming in and being like, "Yo, don't throw those away," like, not aware that they were being filmed. So you just hear them just, like, scolding the main actor, Iman, being like, "Yo, I can give those to my girlfriend," kinda like those type things. It was really funny. Uh,
So how was the act? Well, the acting's really good in the film, but how did you go about getting the actors for it?
uh, it's nice being friends with other actors because they often they tend to know people. So it was nice to just ask friends and friends of friends to just be in the movie. Um, Sophia, actually, the person who played Mimi's roommate, has been in all of the projects that I've ever done, and I just really look forward to working with her every time. Um, Iman was a friend of the casting directors, and then Charlotte was someone that we cast over backstage, I think, and she just displayed. Olivia used the word sensibility. She just displayed a sensibility that I thought fit the emotional fabric of the movie very well.
How long
Olivia,
was the shoot?
I'm sorry, say that again.
How long was the shoot? How long
Two
did
days?
it take to film?
Was it 2 days?
Yeah, we filmed, like I think we filmed the entire film in 1 day, but then a lot of the stuff from that first scene, in that prior location was not usable, so it was, I would say 2 days, yeah, maybe
Yeah,
1.5.
So was it fun, like, going through the sound of that first shot, the first shoot?
I didn't even we didn't even attempt it.
Olivia, I actually wanted to ask you a question about you filming actors. Do you have like anything special that you liked or that you would like to say about like your relationship, just like setting shots up and filming people who are acting dramas?
I mean, honestly, like, the thing that I look for most, because like, a lot of the times people like, actors that I've worked with, they'll ask me, they're like, "How was that on camera?" And I'm like, "You shouldn't be asking me, you should be asking the director." But I'm like, "Yeah, you guys are doing great. I'm not gonna give you direction unless you're, like,
That's the
leading
usual
the
answer from a
way."
DP. That's the
Yeah.
usual answer.
Yeah, I mean, I just try to, like, create, like, a welcoming atmosphere so that people feel comfortable on camera. I do that with my photography too, if I'm, like, shooting, like, portraits and stuff, just trying to create a nice, welcoming environment so people don't feel weird, because it is always weird being on camera, like, that's why I'm behind the camera.
And it's funny because I also have a pretty weird relationship to actors also, and it's funny because a friend of mine once described working with actors as approaching them as if they were frying pans that were like scalding oil and it was just leaping out at you. Um, and it's not that I don't like actors. I am very friendly with many of them, but acting is usually the first thing that I notice whenever I watch a movie.
Yeah.
In terms of the way that they're communicating information, in terms of the way that they're displaying emotions. Oftentimes, I find that people are getting very like involved in the drama. And what was trying to do in this movie was kind of like take a step back, which is why Olivia and I designed all the shots to be like as far back as possible on most occasions. We weren't like using usual film grammar.
Mhm.
It was all like static shots, long takes, and trying to emphasize the really awkward nature between all the characters. Um, and like evoking a sort of sterility that was really important to me because a number of my favorite filmmakers tend to do stuff like that. Like, have you ever heard of? I'm going to go off on a tangent now, but have you ever
Go ahead. Go ahead. This is your time. Go ahead.
There's a South Korean filmmaker I'm going to plug. His name is Hong Sang-soo. He's
Mhm.
one of my favorite filmmakers working today. Um, he came from the same era of filmmaking that Bong Joon-ho, who won Parasite, who won Best Picture with Parasite.
Mhm.
They're friends, same era, generally speaking. But Hong's movies are kind of like that same long take, really, really awkward, um, comedic, dry, surrealist style. Like I really just wanted the surrealism of these situations to be caught and maintained and like just really uncomfortable. Um, and having Olivia holding the camera, holding their shots for so long, such a long period of time was a massive, massive help to achieving that.
Yeah, that
It,
that opening one.
long takes are hard. They're hard to do. Long takes. I remember doing some. I was holding up. We were outside and trying to block the sun, and we were doing a long, long, long take, and I was holding it, holding it, holding it to block the sun. And I was like, would this scene end already? Jeez, my arms were killing me. So of course it just kept going, and kept going, and then
Olivia
they kept messing up, so they kept doing it over again. It was at least a 5 minute scene. So
Well, I was about to say Olivia actually has a funny story about the 9 takes that we did of the very first shot with
it
the
was, and that
Yeah.
was the long shot.
That was the long shot, yeah. No, it was ridiculous, like, because I was walking backwards for most of the
Mm,
that opening shot. Actually, both of
yeah.
them, I was walking backwards for the most part, and, it was just so ridiculous, and, my arm, like, honestly, like, because I have, this one gimbal, it's the, DJI Ronin, and, you hold it like this, and so,
Yeah.
like, this is not a very good way to hold gimbals for a long period of time, so, like, literally, like, my arm was numb. I think I pinched a nerve at some point because I was just, like, holding it for, like, 10 minutes at a time and, like, taking, like, 2-minute breaks in between. I'm like, "Alright, it's for the art, it's fine."
So, when what about the editing process of this, and how long was that taking you, or did you do any reshoots when you're editing like anything like that?
Well, I cut together the first movie or the first cut of the movie, and that's what led us to realize, we need to reshoot this because the first scene,
Oh, that was
it
okay.
just wasn't
Yeah.
gonna cut it. And the editing for me always takes forever because like I'm always trying to do different things and get the rhythm just right.
Mhm.
Because I came from an editing background, and so all of that stuff is really important to me. And just making sure that the timing of the looks was correct, and making sure that when we do cut at the right moment, everything is like it's not like just coverage feeling. It's not just like we had to cut here. Like I wanted to make sure that everything felt like um, it was important that we cut at that moment. Um, important to maintain that feeling. It was actually funny also because in this little 10-minute short, I think I sent Olivia like 15 movies or something like that.
Yeah.
That I was thinking about, and while I was cutting the movie, I was thinking really heavily about The Irishman, because I love how long and how and the emphasis on silence and the rhythm of those conversations, especially towards the ending. I was just thinking about that movie constantly about how those shot reverse shots and how weighty they always felt.
Yeah, absolutely. So the during you shot, did you guys shoot this during this pandemic time, or did you get it in before? Or?
We did it towards the end of I think 2020, I think, and it was
Mhm.
funny also because we had to prove to SAG at one point, the entire process of
Mm,
how we were maintaining a limited amount of people on set and the zone
yeah.
system, and so that part was pretty crazy. But thankfully, everything came out fine, and we're very grateful that everybody was able to take the plunge with us.
So have you written anything since then, or you prepared to do something new, or
Ah,
what's in
Olivia
the
and I were
future?
actually just talking about this morning or this afternoon.
Yep.
Uh, I've got another movie. I've got another movie. Hopefully, then we're going to start filming in May or June. I want to get a script done by the end of the week, but it'll be another short, and another one of those like blocked. Here's a character. Here's another character, and here's how their stories converge type things.
No, that's good. I always like good character development, especially if you could do it in that short period of time. It's not easy.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, not easy at all. But so Olivia, what about you? Any projects? Anything?
Some things here and there, like, I shot a couple of music videos with some other people that we frequently collaborate with as well. But nothing in the realm of shorts, but I'm itching to get back on there. I did shoot something actually back in November, so like not this year, but that Julian was also a part of. He helped produce it. And I'm just waiting for my director friend to get that cut so that I can like actually see what it looks like and also edit the sound for it.
Do you think that things are picking up now a little bit,
Yeah, I
like
think
job
so. I
wise
mean,
and filming?
yeah, I think thank the Lord that the Omicron stuff is done and like I feel a little bit better about being on set. Most
Mm,
people are vaccinated, so I'm like, all
yeah.
right, it's time to move on and time to like keep working on this stuff.
They took mask off today for the first day in school because I teach in high school. Today
Mhm.
was the day, and everyone seemed okay. So
Yeah. Nobody's crying, nobody's
yeah,
coughing. It's great.
so it seemed to work out. So we'll see how day two goes.
Hmm.
But hopefully, yeah, hopefully things will pick up, and you know, it'll be a fun time at the festival. We're happy to be back and live and be there, and we'll see what happens. I know on Saturday we have all student films, and then we have a special thing at night, and then all day Sunday films and an award show. So it's a long day, but it'll be a fun time.
Yeah.
We're looking
But you know,
forward.
we were there right when the pandemic started, and like right before we were
Mhm.
all, and it was a packed house. It was like a ton of people, and nobody knew. They're like, "Oh, something's coming," and we're like, "How many people got sick at that place 2 years ago?" A lot of us
It's the
probably
stuff
had it.
that keeps us up at night,
Yeah, we're
honestly,
like
like
we're like we're all
February.
hanging out partying, and then like I swear a week later everything shut down. Not even a week. We're
Mhm.
like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So that was pretty wild. But yeah. So do you have anything that you want to promote? Anything out there where you can see some of your work, or any websites or Instagrams or whatever?
Well, the name of my production company is movingjournalsmedia.com. I would love any visits and traffic to the website. Olivia.
Yeah, I got, my Instagram is Olivia Dowd, DAWD 27, and, my website, same thing, oliviadowd.com.
All right. Did you want to add anything else before the next interview comes up?
I don't know.
I think I'm good.
Watch some more South Korean films. Watch Hong
Yeah.
Sang-soo
I
movies.
also watch, Chantal Ackerman's films.
Oh yeah,
Another influence on this one.
can't emphasize the influence of Miss Ackerman as well. Her movie Jean Dielman is a great movie.
That's
Mhm.
It's actually
awesome.
funny. One of the shots and not to overflow, but one of my favorite stories and one of my favorite shots from the movie. I had it set up a certain way, and then Olivia moved it a little bit more, where the shot where Charlotte is eating dinner by herself, and she was like, "Julian, come over here." Very Chantal Ackerman, or very Jean here.
You always take your influences when you're making films. When I'm making a film, I always throw like something in there.
Mhm.
It's like an homage. Always throw it in. I'll hide it even. Just
Mhm.
something's got to be in there, you know.
100%.
Transitioning or translating the history of your influences is so important to me.
Absolutely. Did you ever? Who is somebody that you would want to work with someday? That maybe you have a chance to work with. Is there
Yeah,
someone out there that?
I've always wanted to work with. It's weird, but I've always wanted to just be on a set with Alex Ross Perry. He's a filmmaker based in New York. You're familiar with any of his movies?
I'm not sure.
He made
Sounds kind of familiar.
Her Smell is a great movie. He made Listen Up, Philip. Very intense, verbose dramatic comedies. But I love his movies. I've always wanted to like be in the same vicinity as him.
That's great. What about you, Olivia?
Definitely, for a director, I would love to work with Scorsese or just, like, with the team
I
that he
did.
worked with. Yeah.
I was in Wolf of Wall Street. I acted in
So
Wolf of Wall
jealous.
Street. So
What
I
scene?
worked a lot of them. I was like a featured extra for like a month.
Mhm.
So I had days where there was only like 5 or 6 of us, and Scorsese came. It was right there, and there's a scene where they throw a watch out, and he's directing me. He's like, "You have to go up and miss it," and all that. And I was like, at the last day, he comes up, shakes my hand, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, this was amazing, amazing. And then he goes, "You look like a cop. You look like a cop. I'm going to use you again." And I was like, "Whatever, whatever." A week later, he used me again in another movie.
What?
It was
That's
a Hong
amazing.
Kong film, Return of the Green Dragon. I got one day on it as a cop, and
Amazing.
he's like they produced it. So I was floored. And then they actually called me for other things in the future, but I couldn't do it. So I'm a
Mhm.
full-time teacher now. I can't just go.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like, "Oh, bye, I'm gonna be gone for, like, 2 months." And I filmed it.
So those were the fun days, but I did get to do that. So that's
That's
no,
awesome.
he was my influence. He's because like I said, Goodfellas earlier in the thing there, and yeah, so I got to do that, and it was an amazing feeling. So hopefully you guys get to get that feeling and experience as well.
Absolutely.
100%.
But hopefully you'll see you on Sunday. We have a lot of filmmakers coming apparently, so a lot of people end up talking to each other and working together in the future. So that's one big thing we have about the Brightside in the 14 seasons is everyone comes back collaborating.
Mhm.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it sounds
All right.
awesome. We're looking
Awesome.
forward to attending.
All right, cool.